The election and inauguration of Donald J. Trump as President of the United States has marked a time of unmatched political unrest. The following film aims to investigate how things have changed, how people have been affected, and what we can do next.
I think the election of Donald Trump was an extremely catalyzing moment for a lot of people on this campus. It came as a big surprise to a lot of people. And so at first, because people were so upset, because they were so scared, because they were so angry, there's a tremendous amount of energy and a real visible need to be mobilized after the kind of rise of far-right politics, both in this country and internationally. Since then, I think that some of that energy has dissipated a little bit, as it is wont to do. But I think there's still a group of people, a core group of people who are actively engaged, and a lot of people who are keeping their ear to the ground.
So what I've experienced in this political climate is that most people are very conservative and defensive of like their beliefs, and honestly, I feel very disconnected with a greater portion of the people I live around, and it's caused me to be a much more antisocial person, and I've become much more just withheld, and I've hermited myself in my house and don't go out very often, not for fear of my life or anything, but purely because there's just not as many people that I can find that I truly want to be around. It's almost too overwhelming to think about it all, because there's just so much that you have to worry about. It's not just me personally, it's trans rights and healthcare, but then for everything else that's going on, there's just so many different opinions and ways people can feel about these things, that I feel we've created too many diverse options for what people want in their and who represents them. I feel having just this or that is just not enough, because there's all these other ways of thinking. I guess I just don't really like the way our system is set up anymore.
I mean, it's dual-fold, right? Because my personal stake is more as a woman, right? There's certain reproductive rights and things that get questioned on the table, and sexism and implicit things that go on that affect me directly. But then there's also just this consciousness that other people should also have equal rights and should be treated fairly.
Wait, was this while they were power? Tomorrow's definitely gonna come through.
No, she's excited.
I had gone up to a protest in Williamsport and stood out in the cold shortly after Donald Trump had announced that they would no longer be protecting trans students under the Title IX influence. That was no longer to be taken that way. The language was not meant to be taken that way, is what he said. So that was very concerning for me personally, because I know of several people who are trans students in schools, and I personally, the high school that I grew up in, I can only imagine if I had came out at that point in time, it would have been torturous and just awful.
I don't know, I kind of bounce around different things. Obviously, I was involved in BAD and kind of the campus protests, campus organizing. I like to read the news intermittently. And I don't know, last semester I was more big on this. This semester it's been tough because I've been so busy, but going to the different rallies or different protests or just kind of marches, whatever's going on, Standing Rock, all those things. And I find those not more meaningful, I guess that's the wrong word, but just putting my body there on a political space with a bunch of other bodies has more impact, I guess, psychologically than say writing on Facebook or just kind of sitting in a group talking. So.
And I think it's also really important and sometimes overlooked to build communities which can circumnavigate the core roots of that kind of thinking and that kind of exploitation. So shared economies, for example, things like the Time Bank in Lewisburg, or even just kind of going in communally with your friends to buy groceries so that you can buy less and then make it together. Everyone then gets more, and you end up spending less money, pouring less capital into things that you know are exploitative if you can't avoid them altogether.
I guess what's been really fresh on my mind as of late is just this weird kind of conservative leftist clash that's been going on, like on campus but also in the world, and especially in America right now. And I think the biggest thing is there's this like separation between understanding and capacity to engage in discussion. And I feel like a lot of intellectual conservatives and intellectual left wings have certain ideas in common and certain common grounds that they're just like neglecting to see because they're incapable of articulating like well and discussing things on like a level playing field with each other. And so I don't know how really to remedy that, but I think like obviously talking's not the only way, but there has to be like a change in understandings of relating to each other in a less antagonistic way that might like help better this political climate. And I don't know how to get there, but that's something that I've just been toying around with. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know.